Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Recently, with some of the weapon tuning that Ravens added into Warzone, we saw some really strange nerfs to weapons that really didn't deserve them. I'm talking about the AMAX, if it wasn't clear. The MW meta in Warzone has been on and off throughout the past couple of seasons, right? Certain seasons, it's like, okay, this MW gun really can compete. The AMAX, for instance. Fast forward to today, and it's a bit of an awkward meta. However, there are still several MW guns that can actually compete, and today we're breaking down the top 5 best Modern Warfare loadouts and weapons to be using right now. As we go through it all, if you enjoy the video at any point, let me know by dropping a like on it. And of course, if you're new here or if you have not already subscribed, feel free to hit that sub button and turn on those post notifications. Also want to give a huge shout out to my friends over at Gamer Advantage. You guys see me wearing these frames in every single video. I love these things. They are game changers when it comes to staring at screens all day. Before I was wearing these, I'd constantly be getting headaches. I wasn't sleeping well. These things changed all of that. Less eye strain, so less headaches. I'm sleeping way better at night. They come in prescription or regular lenses, tons of different frame options. These things are the wave, let me tell you. And of course, Code Immortal gets you a nice little discount. Link for them will be down in the description below. So let's look at some stats first and foremost. Of course, shout out to Tony or True Game Data for getting all the information on the site for us. We're looking at combination shots as always. And on this list, we got the NZ, the STG, of course, the top 2 guns in the game right now in the opinion of most players. Then I also wanted to look at the RAM, the PKM, and the Bruin for long range. We also have a few weapons for close range that we'll take a look at here in a moment as well. But when it comes to the range TTKs, you might see some surprises here. I mean, the NZ stands out through the first 40 meters as clearly being the worst choice. Now, over range, it's definitely up there as one of the better ones in the general meta, although it doesn't always look like it. It is still very consistent because it's just so easy to use with the recoil. The STG looking super competitive through the first 40, and then the Bruin, surprisingly, ends up becoming so good over range basically because it has no damage drop off. I mean, if you're landing a consistent upper body shot either to the chest, the neck, or the head, that damage drop off doesn't really exist, which is a huge bonus that gun has. You might also look at the PKM here and say, okay, why is everyone not using the PKM despite this clearly phenomenal TTK? It's primarily to do with the mobility of the gun. It's just so slow and so heavy that players would rather opt for an STG or an NZ that's a lot more lightweight and agile, and that's totally understandable. But from a raw TTK standpoint, the PKM, man, it is putting in the work, and the RAM, especially through the first 42 meters as well, ends up as one of the top choices here, killing faster than the STG or the NZ if you're landing all your shots. After the drop off, it's also right there with those other guns as well, which is pretty surprising. Players might not realize, yeah, a lot of these MW guns still kill very quickly. They just don't have all the other benefits that Vanguard guns have at the moment, right? Now, for close range, things are a bit different here. We're taking a look at the Armaguerra and the Blixen, built out to be their best versions of their guns, right? I wanted to compare it versus the MP7, the MP5, and the AUG. Now, of course, we're looking at only the top 5 here because, spoiler alert, one of these is not making the top 5. Disregard the AUG that I messed up on. But when we look at the stats here, I think it's pretty obvious which one's not worth using right away. The MW MP5, slowest TTK up close, and through the first 20 meters, it's really not all that competitive outside of 16 to 20 meters, where it's right there with the MP7 and just slightly slower than the Armaguerra. I mean, 4 meters, it's competitive. That's not really all that worth it, in my opinion. Now, for what it's worth, up close, there's a pretty small difference in the overall TTK. I mean, even versus the AUG, it's right there behind the MP7. We're talking minuscule differences, minute differences there between those guns. But overall, I mean, you can clearly see the Armaguerra and the Blixen up close are just insanely fast when it comes to their TTKs and over range as well. Vanguard subs dominate up close, but that's not to say that the MP7 and even the AUG are bad choices here. For a little bit here, about 5 meters, the AUG is actually killing slightly faster. A difference in game that you'll notice? Probably not, but technically slightly faster than the Armaguerra, and it's not all that far behind it over range either after those drop-offs. And the MP7, same deal, through the first 25 meters, it's not all that far behind something like the Armaguerra. Clearly the Blixen here is that top dog, but you could definitely still get away with using something like the MP7 or the AUG with the right setup if you know what you're doing. And you can look past that slightly slower movement speed and obviously the downside of not having 10 attachments. They are still somewhat competitive for sure. So let's talk these builds. First up, we got the Ram, and overall, I feel like this one's pretty standard. It's relatively straightforward to use as well. The recoil, a little bit tricky, but after you get the pattern down, you're good to go. We're going for the Ranger barrel here, paired with the monolithic suppressor, largest barrel combination with the monolithic suppressor, per usual for MW guns. Of course, we're gonna run the VLK 3x optic on here. The 50 round mags, the damage per mag here is not incredible because the fire rate, but that's the best you're gonna get. And then lastly, I go for the Commando foregrip just to help out with some control there. Very basic MW rifle setup here, but clearly, as you saw with the stats, it's able to hold its own. Now the PKM, like I said, it's slow, it's heavy, but man, if you're landing shots, this thing just packs a punch. The TTK is phenomenal. For the setup, again, we're going for monolithic suppressor. We're also going to go ahead and run the extended barrel, once more the largest barrel in this case. We got to run the snatch grip, better control, and a better ADS, something you never see on underbarrels, so very unique there and also very beneficial. I also, again, I'm running the VLK 3x optic, and because we don't need a magazine attachment here, you can mess around. I personally like using the tack laser here. You get a better ADS, makes it a little bit more aggressive. You could also run something like the ultralight stock if you wanted to. You could use sleight of hand if you wanted to, even something like the rubberized grip tape for better control. Totally comes down to preference there. This is my go-to setup though, and it works. And then for the Bruin, again, it's gonna be that pretty standard rifle, or in this case, LMG hybrid setup, you could say. Monolithic suppressor per usual, largest barrel, so the summit barrel. Again, VLK 3x optic. You gotta run the 60 round mags here, make it a lot more lightweight, a lot more agile, sort of giving it that AR LMG hybrid statistic, I guess you could say, or property. Then also we're going for the Commando foregrip. If you're really good at the control, drop that and throw in the tack laser for a more aggressive build and like more mid-range based. It works really well for that. Unfortunately though, you don't get the fully loaded benefits of Vanguard guns, all the mobility benefits of some of their other attachments, but this build, clearly like we saw on the graph, with that no damage drop off, is still able to do really well. Now for the AUG, unfortunately, we saw a pretty significant nerf to the 5.56 rounds with one of the recent updates, so 32 rounds is the way to go with the 9mm. The TTK is still pretty solid up close, especially, and the mobility with 9mm is way better than over on the NATO rounds. We're still going to stick it with the monolithic suppressor here. I don't go for a barrel. I don't feel like they're necessary. They're all kind of built for range, and obviously, we're focused on close range gameplay. I like tack laser over 5mm, but you could go for either here. Both are great choices. Tack laser to me though is more consistent for ADS fights, of course. Also going to go ahead and run the comb stock here for that better ADS speed. And then lastly, I like running the stipple grip tape on here as well. The Stippy Grippy is back. Nice and aggressive, perfect for close range. And then we got the MP7, one of my all-time favorite guns in Warzone history, or in Modern Warfare history. And this one's a bit different from the AUG because it's a more versatile gun for like some mid-range fights too. Going for monolithic suppressor, gonna go for the recon barrel here to get some of that mid-range dominance back that we'd lose without having that barrel on there. Tack laser here, you don't need an underbarrel. The recoil is just so easy. 50 or 60 here works fine. 50 is just a tad bit more lightweight, so I prefer that. Then lastly, we're going for the Stippy Grippy once more because you can never get enough of it on a class setup. Perfect for close range, but also really good for mid-range as well. Great for like sniper support. And that being said, that's gonna wrap things up for today. Those are the top 5 best MW guns in Warzone right now. If you enjoyed the video, let me know by dropping a like on it. And if you're new here, or if you have not already subscribed, every day I got you covered with everything going on in COD. So feel free to hit that sub button and turn on those post notifications. But once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.